welcome to another Thursday night live around the Campfire Project. And it's been an interesting year, has it not? It's been a very interesting year. So many different opportunities, and I'm just very glad to be finishing my year looking at you two.
It's a worry.
Well, Alan, Angela, from my heart to yours, thank you again for another year inside the Campfire Project. You know, and in a year that's been so opportunistic. So I'm just like to start tonight a little bit different. Alan, how are you? Where's your heart at? Where's your heart at?
Oh, I was just sitting back today thinking about the last 12 months, or actually thinking back over the last 2 decades, some of the things that I've been doing. And I think one of the things that I realise we need to be doing is not looking, or I need to anyway, is not just looking at, say, a part of the year or whatever as it is, and or even just looking at what I've been doing lately, because there hasn't been a lot of one-on-ones, and there haven't been a lot of panel discussions. At the beginning of the year, there was a heap of them. You know, we had enough in the beginning of the year to do for the whole year. But it's looking at the flow of things and the overall aspect of the whole period of time of what's been going on. You know, we look back recently at the 3 years in August of the Campfire Project having run for 3 years, and the was 150 panel discussions and 300 one-on-ones, and looking at that and looking at the 3-year cycle and knowing that sometimes things go really quickly and other times they go slowly. And then we look at things when they're going slowly and we think, oh God, what's gone wrong? Sometimes we need to take that break, as we were just talking about earlier on. And that's one thing that I've been reflecting on a little bit.
And I think that's something that's been a very much a part of the Campfire Project this year. We've all had a bit of time away from it. We've all had a bit of time where we've actually needed to step away from things for a bit, because we've all had stuff going on that's been big for us, you know. So that reflection, I think, Alan, is something that's really, really important. I know I really look forward to sitting down and reflecting upon the year that's been, because there's some great lessons inside that. There's some great knowledge that will take you to going forward. There's great positive things that give you more strength when you go into other areas when we do reflect. So what's been your biggest lesson inside that?
Oh, probably one of the things is be a bit more gentle on myself in the process, because I've had big targets for what I wanted to happen. And in fact, some of those targets have been exceeded through the generosity of other people. So having that gratitude for the fact that I don't have to do it all myself. I've got great people around me, like both of you. And it's together, #we together, that we actually make the big changes and everything. And I really appreciate that side of things.
Yeah, brilliant, because it's a beautiful thing. Like, just being part of the Campfire Project, and it's a beautiful place. And you know, to spend time with people who are heart-centered, and the things that we've created and the things we've created beyond the Campfire Project have been amazing. So, which we'll dive into a bit. And so thank you for that, Alan. Angela, how are you, mate? Where's your heart at the moment?
Well, my heart is heavy. It's the end of a very difficult year. So, I mean, you call it interesting. I call it, and what is it? Well, it's transformational. Not always in the best sense of the word, but, you know, sometimes you need to see the bigger picture in order to actually assess whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. And I think we haven't quite worked that one out yet. But I know that personally, like Alan, I had to learn to be much more gentle with myself this year. I had big plans, and some of them I met, and some of them I just had to let go and just say, not let go, but spread them out, change the timeline. Instead of going, I'll do this in this time frame, just being gentle with myself and saying, there's only so much energy I have. and being able to say, this is what matters most. And that was not finishing a project, but connecting with people and being there for people, and also asking people to be there for me, which for me is a big thing, because I like being independent and doing things by myself, as you both know.
Very much so, but I think there's some great lessons in that, because I've enjoyed our conversations, and you and I are becoming closer this year and talking about things, and the things that I have seen for you, and I've also taken on board a bit myself, is that self-care and a bit more stepping back if it's not feeling right, because the uncertainty of life at the moment is adding a fair bit of pressure to just general day to day. And I think we need to be kinder on each other. And that's one thing for me. I had, if I can share briefly, is I had the first community presentation in a country town booked in, which I was so excited for. The community got together and they bought a heap of socks. So they was going to come in and be a part of the park run, go to the soup kitchen, do some fantastic things in the community. Next thing you know, I did an antigen test. Came back positive. And I went, oh. The thing was, I think we've become a lot more accepting of things not quite going right. Because I rang them up, I said, listen, I'm really sorry. I know how much effort you've gone into putting this together for me to be there, but I don't want to come into your community just in case. And they've actually said, thank you so much for considering us. So in a time of, sometimes things aren't going right, maybe they are. Maybe they are going right. Maybe we are learning to be more human. And yeah, which I want to get into in a bit. So Angela, what's been your biggest lesson this year?
The being gentle with myself and forgiving myself for not being on point all the time, and accepting that emotional productivity for me sometimes means not doing anything. That instead of, I can accept that I can get angry, frustrated, sad, despondent, all of these feelings. And I often go into doing mode around that. And this year I really learned that sometimes just sitting and not going into everything is terrible mode, but sharing that. And I know you both have been very crucial for that this year, and that's this year, being available and just talking about it and then letting it go, but not necessarily doing something, if that makes any sense.
Very much so. And I think one of the greatest things this year has been, you and I have talked a lot about Ted Lasso, and
yes,
just about that.
Yeah.
The fact that we can just talk. And I know Roy Kent is one of the greatest things, when he's sitting there with the Diamond Dogs and he's said there, he's expressed everything, and then he's turned around and said, so sometimes we just sit around and talk and don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the other one that I've really taken on board, is the be curious, not judgmental. The ability, because we are, again, in a society that's polarizing more and more, kindness, compassion, and just being there and accepting, that really means a lot. And that was my electricity, and we'll see what happens. I've got the candles going and I'm tethering, so keep your fingers crossed.
It's absolutely perfect for what and I'm sorry, I don't know who that has that's just popped this up, and I just want to grab a hold of it. I haven't reached out enough. I really appreciate that sentiment. And we all should reach out more. But the reality is, it's a year that sometimes we can't reach out. Sometimes we need to be doing for ourselves. Sometimes we need to actually go a little bit internal, so that our cups are full and we're self-full, so that we can reach out again. Yeah. Like in one of the things with you, Angela, the emotional productivity is to own the emotion.
Yeah.
And it's just so important. I know, Alan, you feel the same about that.
Very much so.
So
I was just having a look on my other screen to see if I could find out who that was, but trying to coordinate two screens, watching and listening to you guys. Hey, I'm a male. I don't multitask.
Oh, I'm glad that my electricity is working at least for part of the time. So,
but isn't this just where it's at in life? You know, we're here. Angela wasn't perfect coming on tonight, but you're here. You turned up, and that's hey, Russell, awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Russell. So, and it's you know, like, if it's okay, I'd like to share with everybody a little bit about my year, because there's something that I adore, and we have some really interesting conversations inside the Campfire Project. We have conversations that need to be had. We have conversations that are sometimes really hard to have, but we have them. And what happens when we have these conversations is we become more human. This year, I've been so lucky to have conversations with so many different people. Just saying thank you for doing your best right now. I've become so much more humane, understanding, and forgiving because I've been present with people to hear them. I'm so grateful that my lesson this year that I will take well into next year is the importance of presence. You know, as today, I'll just share quickly. I raced down to get a haircut. Not there's much to cut anymore, but it's But I was down there getting a haircut, and I raced into the spud bar. I just grabbed a quick spud and veggies for dinner, and it was interesting. The gentleman there he wanted to have a quick conversation, and I stepped in to him, and I looked into his eyes, straight into his eyes, held him there. He goes, "Are you reading me?" I said, "That's really interesting." I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "Well, we're having a pretty deep conversation." I said, "Why is it that you feel like that?" He goes, "Oh, that's a bit." I said, "Well, let's open this up. What is it that you need to know? Because you're not comfortable. Something's not right." He goes, I don't know," but he goes, "You're right. I'm not comfortable." I said, "Well, I've moved in because I want to pay attention to you. I'm looking you in the eyes because I want to connect with you." Just being present in that moment and explaining that to him, he then opened up even further. When we take the time to be present with people, to learn, it's just phenomenal. And the conversations we continually have inside here, we started the year with triggers. You know, the last conversation, what do we have? It's single mums, you know, and just beautiful conversations about people. I'm really humbled by how fantastic we are as human beings. This opportunity called COVID, and yes, I call it an opportunity, I am becoming more and more connected with people all over the world that I never thought could happen simply by being a part of conversations.
Yeah, we've been physically distanced, but emotionally, socially, and that we've been more connected. I know the media and the medical people in particular still keep using the term social distancing, and I can feel the steam come out the back of my head every time and out my ears every time I hear it, because look at the Campfire Project, look at some of the conversations we're having outside with other people. We've never been so socially connected to people before. We may have stood back from them physically, and I think we've got to revalue and look at a few things. It's like Angela was just saying about how people have been polarized. You looked into that guy's eyes, and he just took that as being a negative at first, and possibly an invasion, and then you explain to him what it is, and his attitude changes. And this is the thing: we're reacting to things far too quickly and not taking time to actually ask. I say to my boys, and they keep on saying, "Well, what do I do?" I say, "Ask questions." What happens when I run out of questions? Well, I guarantee you'll come up with more questions with their answers. And then when you do, go, well, and finally get to the point you're going to make a statement. What I'm picking up, or what I'm hearing is this: would that be right? And you're still asking another question. So you're continually asking questions, and people will answer the questions. And in that, you can explain to them why you're asking the questions. It gives you an opportunity to come closer. But hopefully the thing that we learned from this year is to step back, and before we react, just ask ourselves and ask the other person what they mean by that. What's the purpose? And I think when we do that, which is, all the one-on-ones we've had, we sit back, we don't say anything. And I've sat back for 45 minutes without saying anything, and everyone's going, has Alan been reading them? No. I've been holding their space. That was the promise I made. Sit here, listen without judgment, without counselling, without giving you advice, and letting you have the opportunity to share your story. And in that, people usually find their own answers while they're talking. If I give them answers, it's only my opinion and my answers in my life, not theirs.
Well, let's talk about the one-on-ones, because I think the one-on-ones are just... I really enjoy doing a one-on-one. I'm really looking forward to next year allocating more time to do one-on-ones, because you learn so much about a person listening to them. Every single person I've ever met has got a story. And when they own their story, the confidence they have in themselves, it is just amazing. And sometimes when we're sitting there listening, quite often we're sitting there listening, and we learn more about not only the person, about ourselves. So, Angela, for you, how do you find the one-on-ones?
Enriching. Because for me, as I believe the day I stop learning is the day I die. So, and when people share, and I sometimes talk to people who have never really talked about their life story and why they do what they do, and when they make the connections, and when the light bulb comes on, and they go, that's why. It's one of the most beautiful moments. So yeah, I love the one-on-ones, and I come out of them always very grateful when somebody just shares and wants us to get to know them. Because we're very good at putting up a facade and just having this is me, look at my Facebook page. Whereas this is an opportunity to really share.
I don't know about you guys, but in all the one-on-ones that I've listened to, I've never had two stories the same. And that's what I love about it, which just means that everybody's different. Everybody's got a story, and every story has got value. And to be able to sit there, I believe I'm extremely greedy character, because I sit there and enjoy the conversations with so many people where they open up and tell me their stories. That's a great honor. To have people have that much trust in you to share so much with you.
Yeah.
And so how else are you going to sit there quietly and listen to what they've got to say?
Yeah, and I think that's the art, isn't it? Like, it's to sit there quietly with intent to listen. And one of the greatest things that I've learned with Oscar, and Alan, you were there this year when we did a podcast, and Oscar stumbled. And every part of me wanted to jump in and help him. But I sat and I had to embrace myself, because I wanted to let him work through it. And the gold that came out of him, because I didn't put my stuff on him, is just phenomenal. And
and boy, did he own that whole podcast. He was brilliant.
I'd like to say that, look, I'm going to be able to hold my own with him for a little while, but I don't think I've got any chance there, just quietly. So, but it's, I look at life, and I look at the people, and I look at the people I work with, and everybody's got a story. Everybody goes through life challenges. And it's where do we go to process those life challenges? Because the problem's not the problem, right? It's how we respond to the problem. They're the causes of the pain, the lesson, the opportunity. We get to choose depending on how we process it. All three of us are here because we give people the opportunity to process the things they need to process. Because to be able to communicate, to be able to express our emotions, that's the key. But we need a safe place to do that. And that's what we're here for. That's why the Campfire exists, because we have conversations based upon life's opportunities so that we can all grow. You know, and Paul Purden and I were having a conversation a little while ago, and he said the most amazing thing. He goes, human beings, you know, like I wonder what we could be if we all grew to our full potential. I said, that's really interesting. You know, what do you mean? He goes, well, animals become as strong as they possibly can and then they die. Trees become completely to their fullest potential and then they die. As humans, we look for retirement. What's beyond that? How do we grow to our fullest potential? And I don't have answers for that. But all I know is I want to be the best version of me so that we can do this together. You know?
Yeah. I think while you continue to grow in that, you end up living longer as well. The people who have gone into retirement and think, well, that's it. I think the average for a man was 2.7 years after retirement and they'd fall off the perch. And so I looked at, when they were talking about 65, I thought, bugger, if I'm going to retire at 65, I want to live longer. So I'll keep working. And the best thing was to find something I love doing and turn that into my business. So I'm never retiring. So hang on, guys, I'm going to be here for a very long time. If I've got to wait, if I've got to retire and then fall off the perch 2 years later, well, I'll be here for a long time.
But I actually adore that about you, Alan. I adore the fact that, you know, it's a continual growth. It's a continual opportunity to improve you because you're worth it, right? You know, and it's just so exciting. Like it's so, of course, Colonel Sanders started KFC or something when he was in his late 70s or something. And it's that continual effort to do things differently, do things better and enjoy, find the things you enjoy. Like it's amazing.
Well, the thing that sorry.
I'm just saying having a purpose feeds you.
I was just about to say, and your purpose is to contribute. And so you don't just grow in yourself, but you also grow with others and you grow in influence. And I really, really admire that about you.
You know, you think about it, when you look at trees, for instance, they grow near each other and their roots connect. And that makes them even stronger in the ground as well. So they can grow really huge. You can look at the tree and go, my God, that's fantastic. But knowing that the other trees around it and even the smaller weeds that hold the soil together give it its strength as well. And that allows it to grow greater again. So, we're all in it together.
That's the idea of a forest, isn't it? It's one big organism that works together.
That's
you know,
it.
And it's the more I live life and I'm living it, I'm not going to miss any part. I'm going to have a crack at whatever I can just to make sure. The more I realize the importance of connecting to all parts of life, understanding nature, understanding each other, understanding how things work, because I can't wait for the next, look, maybe it's me, but the best is yet to come by so far, because like I'm warming up and I can't wait to learn. I want to go back to Indigenous opportunities and learn more about different ways of life and different ways of connection, you know, like the different stories. And I'm heading away for a couple of weeks and I cannot wait to spend time with somebody who's going to take me to a 40,000 plus year old kitchen and we're going to have fish. So it's just going to be amazing. So let's looking ahead for next year. What are we up to? What are your plans next year, Alan? What are you thinking?
Well, one of the things is, I think I might have mentioned before, we've been quite lucky to have picked up a sponsor for the Campfire Project. We've got a new website going up. It's in the production at the moment. I've been adding new information to it. So that'll come out in the very near future. At the same time, we've then got the YouTube channel, or the video, the podcast, the panel discussions are going up on that, and they'll also be going out in the podcast station. So we'll extend our reach that way. And I've already had one of the American groups, which is involved with the police and ex-police that have gone through PTSD. They've asked for support in building a Campfire Project of their own. So we'll end up linking that to us as well. And there's more people coming in with their groups. And that means we'll be able to connect all those groups together. So I can see the growth really moving forward. I know that this year has been a hard year, and we've learned a lot from it. But as you said, next year will be better again, because we'll take that knowledge of this year into next year, excuse me, and we'll grow much faster again. So I can see an escalation of things that are going to be happening around this area. And there's been more recognition around the fact that people are realising, yep, they need to know each other better. So the profiling side of things, that's growing. And I'm already working with a number of families with their children as well. So that is exciting me. It looks like I might be able to head into the National Disabilities Service to be able to get work in there as well. So hopefully creating and training my competition.
Giddy up. That sounds bloody exciting. And for those that, I mean, I'm hoping that everybody knows who you are, Papa Smurf. I hope everyone has been au fait with that name, because that's what's sticking these days. But I hope everybody's actually checked out Alan's work. I hope everyone's checked out how he connects people, the difference he makes to people. You know, like it's something that I'm actually proud of you for, because you don't sell on here. You don't. I like this. Who is he?
I got a feeling that might have been Russell.
I think so. But it's super interesting, because you don't sell, right? And I'm actually really proud of you for that. And that comes at your detriment at times, but it's with so much noise in society about, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. We're getting sold so many things. You can come in here and have this for free. You can come in and have a listen to people and find out about people and see what they're about, rather than have the advertised marketing situation put on them. It's real in here. It's open, it's honest, and you get to meet the people who they are. And I'm just really proud of you for that, Alan. Really proud of you.
Yeah. Well, I look at a lot of things and think, yes, we can do things a lot easier, or the alternative is do them right. So can I do it easier or do it right? I'll always go with what's, do it right. And we set the Campfire Project up as a safe place for people to come and tell their stories. And that's the end of the whole thing. Nothing else happens unless that happens. We stick by what we put together. And, we've got to walk our talk. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're in today's society. I'm going to go a little bit PC, because there's something that I'm seeing a lot of, which, now that Oscar's getting a bit older, I'm paying a little bit more attention to. Maybe I'm becoming an old fuddy-duddy, but what you advertise, you sell. What you advertise, you sell. And I mean that for the young women and the young men. If you've got boobs and bum out, that's what you're advertising. That's what you're going to sell. You're selling your heart and your head. And at the moment, that's my big message to Oscar at the minute. What do you want to be? You want to be known for the love and the care. That is a beautiful heart that you have. You've got to make sure that's what people see.
Well, as parents, we know that our children don't listen to what we say. They look at what we do. And if what we say doesn't align with it, then they don't trust us, but they'll always look at what we do. It's the same thing. No matter who you are, at whatever age you are, what you do, other people will notice that. You can tell them one thing, but if you're advertising something different, that's what they're going to see.
100%. And that's where the attraction goes to.
It's not about morals and all the rest. And I know as I've gotten older, I might be a little bit more prudish about things and the way I look at things. But at the end of the day, it's not about morals or anything else. It's more a realization of just how much people respond to your actions and your behaviours more than anything you'll ever say.
I agree wholeheartedly with that one. I'm learning that every time I make a mistake, Oscar lets me know, don't worry. So if it's all right with you, Angela, I'd like to ask you, what are you up to next year? What are you thinking?
Well, my mission statement is, and has been for many, many years, I contribute to the evolution of human consciousness. And so that's what I'm going to continue next year. This year was all about, and continues until next year, because that was part of my being gentle with self, the hashtag 52 needs. And next year, when I'm finished with the needs, which I'm not going to finish at the end of the year, because being gentle, because I stretched into interviews and in a different way this year, which was my stretch for the year. So next year is going to be hashtag 52 boundaries. And I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And Scott and I have already planned, we're going to talk about it. And Alan, if you've got any ideas, I would love to have them.
Try and stop me talking. When it comes to boundaries, we need a few.
And I thought that would be, that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, because those are the things that we don't talk about emotions. Only we live them, and not necessarily in the best way. We don't talk about our needs. We just become either needless or needy. And I think that's been a really big topic this year as well. And boundaries is going to be a really big topic next year. And that's one, by the way, something I didn't set up this year. That I set up at the beginning of at the end of 2018. So that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be hopefully helping people expand consciousness and like you said, become the next best version of themselves and reach full potential.
And I love that, because it's as much as I give praise to Alan for being a big part of my life, I need to give you a fair bit of praise too, Angela, because you help me with my emotions. You help me understand myself better. I now sit in my emotion and own the situation that I'm in and take on the feeling that is. And I get curious. What is it I'm actually feeling? What is it that's inside of me that I need to feel right now so that I can actually understand what it is I'm doing? I can understand the situation that I'm in. Once I get curious and I get into the emotion, okay, that's how I feel. Cool. Do I need to change it, or do I just need to be with it because that's what I need to feel right now?
Well, that's when you identify your need, right?
100%.
And then your need decides what you're going to do or not do.
Correct. But this is the glorious Angela Heise that I know and love, because you helped me with that. I hope more people reach out to you this year and actually take you up on your emotional productivity, on your emotional consciousness, because together, what you see on screen is just an amazing opportunity of people that have these tools for life. And they're just amazing. I grow because of you too. I just love it. So that's what we sort of got planned for next year. I might actually share what I've got planned.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Well, just for something different, I'm going to have a big year. I'm starting my year with 1%, 365. And if anyone wants to join me, jump on board. It's an opportunity to be the best version of ourselves. Take on those little 1% things consistently. For me, it's reading 1 page of a book, 2 liters of water, and a minimum of 20 minutes exercise every day for 365 days. The 1% things in life to make a difference to my life, so I can be the best version of me for those around me. The big one is I need to get this run from Sydney to Melbourne done. This is so important to me. It's so important to our communities. It's so important to so many things in our life. And I'm so grateful for this year. I'm so grateful that we didn't run this year. Think of that. I planned my entire year around running from Sydney to Melbourne, and it didn't happen. I've had to have a fair adjustment. But I'm actually so grateful.
That so much more because of that.
100%. And this is the thing. The opportunities I've had because things didn't happen. When you have the mindset of, okay, this hasn't worked, what can we create? What can we do? The world is endless. Next year, we'll be out in communities more than ever. We'll be connecting people with a pair of socks. And, 10,000 conversations. I'm so excited. And I'm looking forward to doing more and more panels, sticking to our Thursday nights, getting them done, having conversations, becoming more human, learning more about people and their experiences so that I don't feel so alone in the world. Because when I hear the opportunities that people have gone through, and I'm just so proud of people for owning their stories and sharing them with us, I become more human. And I think it's the greatest gift I can be given.
That's it.
So next year, I'm excited. And actually, if it's all right, Alan, I'm just going to go a little bit sideways, but could you share with everybody what our three... have you got the computer screen there that you can get to that quickly?
To which?
To our three statements for each of us.
Where do we have that one?
That doesn't. Have you got one? Because I actually think this would be really good for people to know about us. I think people to hear the three things in life that we all really stand for. I think it'd be great to share them, if that's okay. Is that okay to do that impromptu?
Yeah, well, the three things that drive me, that I really focus on, one that I learned a long time ago was that the most important thing I'll ever learn is the next thing I learn after I think I know everything. The second one was, and I think it's the most important, is what you do for yourself dies with you, but what you do for others and for the community isn't always will be eternal. And I've always lived by the fact of always leave the place in a better state than you found it. So if I go bush, for instance, it's always clean up the rubbish. It's always then see what else I can do to clean up some of the area that might be a fire hazard or whatever before I even leave there. So I take away rubbish instead of leaving it there. So they're sort of three things that have really stuck with me.
And how has that helped you in life?
It's allowed, well, for 13 years, it's connected me to people as far as knowing that, as I said, what you do for yourself dies with you, and realizing that, when you're connecting with others, you're not only being part of their life, but they're being part of yours. So your total environment is actually being enriched by being in that situation. And so they're the things that I think are the most important for me.
Brilliant. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I know we're sort of putting everyone on the spot, but I think it's important. I like people to know us better. So,
that's it. Angela, how about you?
Okay, my connection is a bit wobbly. Can you hear me?
Yep, got you there.
Okay. All right. Okay, so for mine, we meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So that's always been something that I have, because I have traveled so much in my life that, and I've met so many people, and then to approach every relationship, every encounter with the same kind of care, because I don't know how long it's going to last. I've had people in my life where I thought I'd only meet them for half an hour, and they stayed around for my whole life. I've had other people where I thought they were going to stay in my life for my whole life, and they were really they're just there for a season. But it's the appreciation of what this relationship and what the connection means to me. So that's a long answer. The second one is, for me, that's really important. Regularly step out of your comfort zone, because if your comfort zone gets too big, life becomes not comfortable, but there's no growth. Growth is really, really important. And also what it does is when I learn to be uncomfortable with things, and I tell you, I have done things in my life where I look back and go, and it was not about becoming an expert or becoming really good at something, but it was just about learning to be not perfect, about stretching into something that was different and unusual and uncomfortable. And that helps me deal with all sorts of other things. And number 3 is never assume that you're an expert and that you've learned enough, that you've worked on yourself enough. I mean, I love it when people say, but you've worked so much on yourself. Why do you still have a coach? Why do you keep working on yourself? Because I'm work in progress. I will keep growing and growing. And there's always the next best version. And that has nothing to do with being perfect. It's just about developing my potential, connecting more with people, supporting people better, because when I grow, other people grow. I can hold space much more effectively. So I can be there for others better when I work on myself, which is why I worked on myself first for 20 years before I started working with people. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, I was just going to say that to add to that is that, as they say, you can't light someone else's path without lighting your own. Yeah. So the more that you're helping other people, the more you're going to be learning as well. And if you think that you're there, well, you're nowhere near there. So it's a matter of, that's why, no matter how old you get, and I'm much older than both of you, and that I'll always have coaches. Have coaches now and always will.
Exactly.
There's always something else to be taught and learned.
Yeah.
I love that, because it's the growth mindset. It's as here we go. There's a comment. When we're triggered by something, instead of turning it into a negative, turn it into an opportunity. And that's what the growth mindset sets you. Like, it's the one thing that we had the conversation the other day, disability, and it was amazing. It was 3 people that have had opportunities in life, and we sat there and we talked about growth mindset, and that's the single biggest thing. It's how we project ourselves is the response that we get. So to work on your mindset when you go through opportunities is just so important. So, yeah.
Okay, what are your 3 statements?
To see the world through a different set of eyes is to see the world in a new light. Teach me how you see the world, and let's walk together. Because I love it. I love it when we walk together. Teach me you. Let me learn you. It's just fantastic, because that opportunity of learning people, a lot of people hold back, and I can appreciate that. It's not easy. It's not easy owning you. It took me 6 years to get to the point where I could talk about me. So it just takes time. But I love seeing the world through a different set of eyes, because again, it's a growth mindset. So the second one is, I've never met anybody who hasn't added value to my life. Even if it's something I don't like, it's helped me to understand the things that I do like, because it gets me one step closer. Okay, what's the opposite of that? I don't like this. Why don't I like it? Get curious about it, right? Why don't I like it? What is it about it I don't like? Get specific, Number 3, no one ever makes a decision to make the wrong decision. Everybody makes a decision that was right at that time, whatever reason they made that decision. Those 3 statements help me out with so many opportunities. They're statements that I live by. They're statements that I walk into different opportunities that I have to negate, because I know everybody's doing their best.
Yeah.
And on Sunday just gone, I had the world's greatest opportunity to walk with my son, saying thank you to people for doing their best. And I learned so much from watching him struggle and come back to me and open it up. And, and I'll explain to him that nobody ever makes a decision to make the wrong decision. And it's just amazing. I'm so grateful for the opportunities of connecting. But I'm just going to put a little bit of me in this just right now, but the two most powerful words, in my opinion, in the English language are no and thank you. Thank you, because, both of those words, when given context, create so much opportunity and connection. If you say thank you to somebody, thank you, that's nice. Angela, thank you for coming on tonight. I know you've had a lot of difficulty getting on here. I know the struggle with you coming on with your phone and being in a location that you're not normally in. I really appreciate that, because it's really important for people to hear you tonight. Thank you for being here tonight and actually working through that. It's a little bit different to thank you for being here tonight. Makes us closer, makes us feel closer. Likewise, with no. If you say no, okay, it's stopped, it's finished. No, actually, I don't think that's the right idea, because it'll lead down this path, because in my experience, that's what's happened before. Okay, so what was that experience? No, with context, creates opportunity to grow and connect further and become curious and understand. Both of those words, used correctly, are the most powerful words in the English language in my eyes. Used incorrectly, with a full stop, creates a full stop and a missed opportunity.
The words themselves, along with an explanation that follows, is what I love.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Context is so important. How are you feeling right now? Honestly, I'm actually feeling quite full.
I was just feeling that. Yeah.
I will add to it that I feel great from the conversation. But as I said before, I'm always learning things. And I've just realised something with StreamYard. I've been looking there for comments on my other screen, trying to find the Facebook page. And I had the private chat up, and I just realised there's a comments button there. When you push that, you can see all the comments. I've learned something. So I'm feeling pretty chuffed.
But right there, that moment, right? Just capture that moment. When we learn something, we feel good about ourselves. Tick, we just got something. I love it. And that's,
And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just a small thing. As you said, the 1%, a lot of small things through the course of your day and through the course of your year and your life, there's no way of measuring it. There's just so many little things that add up. This is massive things. They lead on to other things.
I think that's why reflection's so important. I think because those little 1%, they do add up, and they compound interest is just beautiful. What's this one? As a comment, will just come through. We'll just pop it out. I thought you just didn't want to know us. I think that's Russell.
Is that by the fact that I didn't know there was a comments field there, possibly?
Correct. I like it. So time's moving on. I thought we'd get on here for a quick half an hour, 45 minutes, and we're already 50 minutes into the conversation as usual. But it doesn't take long when you're sitting here interested in what one another have to say. It doesn't take long when you're sitting here connecting with one another, and I just adore it. So I'd like to finish up this year with something a little bit different. Alan, if you could think of one thing that you would like to see happen next year,
Well, right from today, actually, not just next year. I was just thinking about this a moment ago, was the fact that we were talking about conversations. It's for everybody who's in the Campfire Project to invite their friends in, and not only invite them in, but to pick out different, especially the panel discussions, and go and have a look at those and have discussions around those. Take your conversations into the real world, sitting down with each other, having cups of coffee or a meal, and just ask, well, what are your views around that? How does that work in with you? And do it from the point of asking to discover, not asking to get them to support your beliefs on it. Be challenged by, if they don't agree with you, listen to what they got to say and discuss it and see if you can work things out together, come up with new ideas. If you've got this idea and the other person's got that idea, see how you can blend that together with coming up with a brand new idea altogether. So it's not just us doing one-on-ones, but it's everybody in the group having conversations with each other. But the more conversations like that we have, with less expecting people to support what we say, but just having a conversation for the sake of conversations, I think will bring us a lot more together. And as Angela was talking about before, where people were taking these knee-jerk reactions and taking sides, we can start to change our habit around that.
I like that. Let's hope there's more conversations. Like with us three here, when there's got to be. That's right. Angela, what would you like to see
in the campfire? I dropped out there for a minute. In the campfire, I'd like to see people. I talk to people and they say, I've got a really great idea for a panel session. And I say, great. Do you have anybody else you would like to be? There's a file with all these people who've done one-on-ones. Is there anybody else you'd like to have in there? I'll have a look. And that's when it stays. And I just would love to invite people to say, there's somebody else I'd like to invite into this conversation. I've had a look at who else is there, and this person sounds really interesting. Or I'll bring in a friend and they can do an interview, and then they can do a panel session. Because there are a lot of people who are really interested in this. And I think we've got so much to talk about. And I've heard so many interesting topics. And all of us are happy to facilitate those. And it would be great if people brought them in more actively and said, let's do this. That would be my dream, because I'm happy to do them. We have had conversations with people from 3 continents that we had on. I did one with a number of people on a Sunday morning at 6:00, because that was the only time we could find, where people from the US, from the UK, and from Australia got together, and it was brilliant. So changes.
I want to grab that because the one thing I do love about the Campfire Project, and especially from the 3 of us, is we will work hard to have the conversations that need to be had. If they have to be at 4 a.m., we'll be up. If they've got to be at midnight, we'll be up. We'll make sure. That's how important these conversations are to us, because it's about our personal growth as much as it is about everybody else's. But if you give us the opportunity to have a conversation about something, my God, we'll take it. We'll take it, because that's the power of the community, the strength when we sit down and communicate about things that may be a bit tough at times. But let's work through it. Let's find our triggers and understand why we have them.
Yeah. On that point as well, when Angela has said to people, have a look at the one-on-ones and come back and talk to us. If anybody who's been in that situation and has felt that was being okay, well, go and look, that's putting you down. No, we want to draw you in, not put you down in the process. We want you to draw you in. From this point on, if I find that people say, well, I've actually done it this year. We had a couple of people say, I've got a great subject I want to talk about. So, well, who would you like to bring in? But I've not only done that, I've asked them why they believe that was an important subject. I've got into a conversation with them and they've explained that, and I've been able to draw them out, which hopefully has increased their passion to have that. And therefore they were more likely to go off and find others in the one-on-ones. And the reason we always say about the one-on-ones is that the people who have done their one-on-ones have shown everybody else in the Campfire Project respect to come along and bare their soul virtually and tell their story. And therefore, they've earned the right to be able to come into a panel discussion and have credibility with everybody who's listened to their one-on-one. And that's why that's always been the major thing. If you do a one-on-one, you can come in and then do the panel discussions. If you're a coach, if you're a professional of some form and you've got an event that helps people, you've written a book that is personal development, things like that, we will advertise it free of charge. And by the way, we don't advertise anything for a cost, which therefore means the only people who get advertised are those that show everyone else respect first by telling their one-on-one story. And then we will go out of our way to connect them with people all over the world, because they deserve to be supported when they've shown the courage to set up to either Campfire Project and share their story. And they have nothing but respect from us when they do it.
Yeah, and that is something I adore about the Campfire Project, because yes, we sit here in the Campfire Project and have beautiful conversations, but the amount of conversations we have away from the Campfire Project is phenomenal. Like, we've all been a part of all different networks, and yet we bring them back together. And I think this is the place for me that this is where we can have those intimate conversations, really close up, personal ones we need to have. And I think, to follow on from you both, I think I would love it if people could give us topics they really need to talk about, so that you don't actually have to have that conversation until you've heard people talk about it. And then it gives you the opportunity to reach out to somebody and say, hey, listen, I really enjoyed what you said at this point. Is there any way we can have a quick conversation? Because I actually need to have that conversation. Because for me, it's not so much the conversations we have that make a difference. It's the conversations we don't have that we need to have, that can be had, that make the big difference.
That's
and
it.
I adore that. I adore that. So,
and see, I've never come up with a subject for the panels that I've run. There've been over 200 of them. The only ones I have, it's been International Men's Day. That was a theme. But every other one, people have come up with their own subjects. When the people join the panel, first question I have for you is, get to know each other if you don't know each other, know each other's expertise, and you tell me what you want to talk about. And I let the people drive it. And I said, this is not my tribe, this is our community. And that's why I'm calling the involvement and participation from everybody who's in the Campfire Project, because every last one of you are valuable.
And on that, the value inside the people inside this community is huge, and the amount of amazing people and amazing stories who just own them are brilliant. But next year, I'm actually looking forward to going backwards. Yes, I said that, backwards. I'm going to go back in time, and I'm going to go back to some old panels, and I'm going to bring back some people that we've done panels before, and I want to talk about what it's like 2 or 3 years later. How's life 2 or 3 years after this conversation? What's changed for you? How's things different? Do you still have the same opinion about the subject? Because I know myself, as I grow through things and I learn new things, my opinions change based upon the new experiences and the new knowledge I get. And I'm really looking forward to going back to some of those conversations, and one of those conversations will be, does size matter again? I want to go back to the same panel and understand it. I want put it this way, I'll be going in with foreplay this time. I won't be going straight for it.
Yes.
But isn't that, we did it ugly, right? We got it done. We got it done. We learned for it. We worked together. So we're just coming up to the hour, and I do want to wrap it up. So I actually want to go and do the Christmas lights with Oscar. I actually want to go for a walk and have a bit of chinwag. But I want to thank all the campers. I want to thank you, Alan, Papa, you, Angela. I think we've almost run with Smurfette, but we'll just
on one of the panels, I think.
I'll just run Smurfette for a while, and I'll see if it sticks. We'll just see how it goes. But I'm truly grateful to be a part of the Campfire Project. I'm truly grateful to the community that is the Campfire Project. It's a wonderful place. So thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
both.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, everybody who's part of the Campfire Project.
Yes.
Because we are what we are because of all of us.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Hashtag we together.
All right, well, ho, ho, ho. And I don't know if you listened last night, but we, Oscar and I sat down and rewrote Santa Claus. It was, here comes Shorty Claus, here comes Scotty Claus, right down Milligan Lane. It was amazing. I loved it. But I'm loving, and if I just quickly could share with everybody why I actually bring the Business of Smiles into the Campfire Project. The Business of Smiles started because of the Campfire Project. It's a Campfire Project initiative. We're bringing it together so that you can see what gets created when we work together. When we together do things together can create connection and love beyond anything I've ever felt. I just adore it. So on that note, any final notes, Angela, you'd like to say to everybody?
No, I think I'm just full of gratitude, and thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, especially you two.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
And what I would like to say to everybody is Merry Christmas. Have a safe and prosperous New Year, especially safe over the holiday seasons. And anybody who's going through a tough time, send a message. You don't have to do it on your own. There'll be somebody here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for that, Alan, because you are here for us. I appreciate that. Well, from me to you, to both, thank you. To all the campers, I really appreciate people being involved in such a wonderful community. We together is the way we're going to move forward, and we're doing it in abundance in here. So thank you for being a part of it. Merry Christmas. Have a great new year, and we will see you back at the end of January. All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
See you later.
All right, where's that bloody button?